Sports Bar and Casino, Arizona. Your home for uncensored sports betting opinions, analysis, and advice. The guys have you covered for all the games. Now, take the points on Fox Sports 910 and the iHeartRadio app.
Welcome in. Happy Saturday to you. It's Memorial Day weekend, the unofficial start of summer. Glad you can spend part of your day with us. I'm Mike Gross alongside Mike Bauer and Jackson Groff. And we've had serious conversations since our last show about just turning this into the Jackson Groff Handicap Hour and let you break down random stuff from across the country. I mean, you're nailing the Triple Crown races. Yeah. So, maybe you get on there and, there's the number 4 race at Santa Anita this afternoon that you're going to break down. And then you 2 weeks from now, a month from now, a year from now, you take Marco's job. You're on fire.
I got to wait for the Belmont. That's the last crown right there. 2 for 2 right now. Don't want to get ahead of myself. But, yeah, if I am 3 for 3 gross, might have to get a call over to Wager Talk and see if I could get on there for some horse segments.
If you go 3 for 3, there'll be no living with you. That's all I got to say.
I mean, Mage, National Treasure, come on. I know there was only 7 horses, but the fact that I got 1 of 7, that's pretty remarkable.
There's only 7 horses running, and I got it wrong. So there you go.
That is very true.
You're on fire, Jackson Groff, and love the content online when it happens. When you hit, you know how to celebrate.
Oh, yeah, and then when you hit, or, if Bauer would have a big hit, we would.
You said
if
you hit.
If
exactly. You hit, we'll give you a little bit of love. Hey, we've got a great show coming up as we always do, but most importantly, we're out here at Casino, Arizona, Loop 101 in McKellips, inside the beautiful CAZ Sportsbook. We've already had our breakfast sandwiches today. They were delicious, and
they need to sponsor us.
I know they power us up, get us through this show. TVs are on, a lot of baseball going on here this morning, and the bar's starting to fill up. We got some folks sitting in the sports book watching the Tigers and the White Sox, and I think that far game is the Padres and the Yankees, and that will carry on throughout the course of the day. They've got all the live sporting events, all the TV packages here, so you'll be able to come on in and enjoy them. The window is open. Jack and the team are there ready to take care of you, and if you don't need their help or you want to get in, get out, they got the self-service kiosks as well. So come on out. Casino, Arizona at the CAZ Sportsbook. The 3 of us will be here till 1 o'clock this afternoon. Big games tonight that we'll talk about later on in the show. We've got the Celtics and the Heat. Jackson, we're not going to do a deep dive here, but I think there's more pressure on the Heat tonight than there is on the Celtics.
Yeah, the Heat are out 3-0. I believe the odds were to win the series was at -900. And I know there's a guy at Barstool Sports that put $10,000 down on the Heat to finish the series at -900 just to win $1,000.
That's a lot.
He's shaking in his boots, folks.
I would be.
Because ever since he made that bet, the Celtics have won 2 straight. And my thing, Gross, is the Celtics won 2 straight, but they were blowouts. They won by both 15 points in both games. That's kind of concerning if you're a Heat fan. But you do have Gabe Vincent coming back tonight, which is huge. A guy that's been stepping up. They're one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the playoffs, and they've been struggling without Vincent. Duncan Robinson's been struggling. And for Heat fans out there, what you can bank on is Jimmy Butler hasn't been playing well. So if he can start playing well, maybe you can narrow that gap in. But when you talk about the Celtics team, man, it just seems like, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are doing all right. They're getting their 20, 25 points. But it seems like all the role players around them are starting to step up, with even Malcolm Brogdon, the 6th man of the year. He got an injury. I saw this on TNT the other day. It's a bone in his elbow that's connected to your forearm, and it's his shooting arm. So his minutes have been reduced. He played 8 minutes last game. But, if I'm a Heat fan, I'm nervous. Celtics favored by 3 in this matchup. Gross, what are your thoughts about this series and tonight's game?
I will, like I said, we'll do a deep dive later on, but I firmly believe all the pressure on the Heat right now. Are they running out of gas? They're the number 8 seed, and you can see it. Just mentioned in these last two games, the Celtics kind of imposed their will on the 8th-seeded Heat. Game 5:30 tonight on TNT. Sorry, Jackson.
No, you're good. If you're the NBA, though, you're kind of happy because if we're to close this out, there'd be 9 days of no basketball.
June 1st is when it's off.
If you're the NBA right now, you're like, thank God. Something's going a little longer, so we can keep the NBA.
If you're their broadcast part, happy as that game, as I said, 5:30 tonight, TNT. Talk in more detail on that one later on. Also, post time on the ice. Las Vegas, they go. The Vegas Golden Knight hold a 3 lead. Dallas was able to stave off elimination. That game's 5 o'clock on ABC, and you talk about conference finals getting done quick. On the eastern side, since last we met, the Carolina Hurricane were eliminated by the Florida Panthers. So the Panthers are back in the winner of this series. And similar to what we said about the NBA, I don't know that any greater pressure Vegas, but if Dallas should somehow figure out a way to win the night from the team up in Vegas and then send it to Dallas, then all of a sudden we're having a different conversation about but Vegas has been throughout this postseason, and if you needed another reason for somebody to kick you in the shins your last couple of weeks here, Hill looking so good in net for Golden Knights, a guy obviously that we know well from his time wearing a Coyote, and you feel good for him, but it's like, man, why do people have to leave Arizona for us to cheer for him, right? And,
yeah,
but
exactly.
Aiden Hill getting it done for the Golden Knights. We'll talk about that one on as well. Coming up on the show today, Jackson, really good guests. I'm excited. Toronto in our next segment. I hope homework. I know you love talking hockey, but a good friend of mine. Program Victoria Matias. She covers the NHL for Sirius XM as well as and hosts a tremendous hockey cast. I've had her on shows like 10, 12, maybe longer years. Great hockey guest, great insight, and love talking to her. Also based on Toronto, so we had to give her a couple weeks to kind of let the pain from the Maple Leafs eliminations, and you'll catch up in our next segment. And then we on it. Here we are, 8-9 minutes in. Coming up in next hour, we will talk Arizona Cardinals. Yes. Something yesterday people should see. We've got you could go back and forth and see what we do to lead the show. The Cardinals waived DeAndre Hopkins, and now all of a sudden the Cardinals are back in the news for that. And there's a lot of ways to look at this. So we thought, what better to do than bring on Alex Clancy, friend of the program. He covers the Cardinals. He's on Twitter at Clancy's Corner. His podcast, Locked On AZ Cards, and we've had him on before, and he's got some really good insights. And we talked about this possibility with him last time he was on. I think the only thing that's surprising is actually the timing. Yeah, when it became clear that they couldn't trade DeAndre Hopkins, and they gave DeAndre Hopkins freedom. Hey, go make your best deal. And guess what? DeAndre Hopkins couldn't find a home through the trade market. There's something about a wide receiver who's been hurt, who's been suspended, who's got a salary over $15 million this year and another salary next year of about the same. And you're north of 30. Guess what? There's not a big market for a guy like that. And that's no disrespect to DeAndre Hopkins. He's a tremendous wide receiver. He did some great things. He will forever have one of the all-time great plays in Arizona Cardinals history.
100%.
But this experiment has run out. And we'll talk to Alex Clancy about that in hour number 2.
Yeah, it stinks. At the same time, I wish D-Hop nothing but the best as a Cardinals fan. It was awesome to have him on the team. And I remember the day when I found out the trade happened with the Texans, and you're like, wow, DeAndre Hopkins is coming to the Cardinals. And like you mentioned, the Hail Mary will forever be one of the greatest moments, I think, in Cardinals history. Yep. If only that play was done with a full stadium, it would be even much better. Man. Because of COVID and stuff like that. But I think part of it, too, you kind of look at it as a hell of a player. I wish, that they could work something out and he could be on the Cardinals for, a longer time. But at the same time, he's getting older in age. Yep. It does kind of, vacate a bigger position, a bigger need now at receiver. But now you got some young guys that'll step up, make a name for themselves. You're Michael Wilson, Stanford rookie. You'll get more reps. Yep. They've got probably the shortest receiver unit in the league, them and the Dolphins. Now they got Marquise Brown, Rondale Moore, and Greg Dortch. They got a really small lineup, and then they've got Zach Pascal and Michael Wilson right there. Yeah. So Michael Wilson, get up, strap those puppies in. You're about to get a lot of reps here for this first couple weeks. Yeah, we'll get into that a lot more in hour number 2. But we'll step aside here, Jackson. On the other side, we head to the Great White North. We
go up to Toronto. We're going to talk NHL with our good friend Victoria Matiash. That's coming up next on Fox Sports 910.
Back to Take the Points, powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona, exclusively on Fox Sports 910.
Welcome back. Great to have you in on a Saturday as we take it into a holiday weekend. But you know who's not on holiday, Jackson? The NHL, as we mentioned a moment ago. Tonight from Las Vegas, the Stars try to stay alive against the Golden Knights. And that, plus lots of other hockey news. Plus, it's just cool to catch up with old friends. And I'm thrilled to go out to the guest line and say hello and welcome back to somebody who's been coming on shows with me for I can't even tell you how long, but up in Toronto, Victoria Matiash. Victoria, how are you? It's so good to talk to you.
Mike, it has been far too long. I agree with you. It's lovely to hear your voice as well. Thanks for having me on.
No, thrilled you could do it with us today and appreciate you bearing with us through the connection. Hey, you know, one of the things that I'm fascinated by, and I said before we brought you on, is, you know, Toronto. It's the capital of hockey, right? But, man, I sent you a one-line text because I felt so bad when the Leafs were eliminated by these Florida Panthers that are still alive and kicking. Is Toronto regrouped as a city? How are the fans right now as they watch this NHL postseason go on without the Maple Leafs?
I think on ice, they're feeling a little bit better, having now watched the Florida Panthers also steamroll the Carolina Hurricanes. Mm-hmm. And I mean, now you can take the Panthers seriously now, right? Because they beat Boston. All right, that was like a historically epic team this season. Then they beat Toronto, still a very strong side. And then, you know, Carolina was also another Stanley Cup favorite preseason for many pundits, and a strong team, and a very well-built team, a very well-coached team with excellent defense all around. And it was 4-0, and it was like wipe your hands. Yes, the games were close, but again, I think you could still call it a steamrolling because it is a sweep, whatever Rod Brindamore wants to call it, or deny that it isn't a sweep. It definitely was one. So I think the fans in Toronto take a little bit of comfort from the fact that, okay, this team with this hot netminder, Sergei Bobrovsky, who's just playing out of his mind right now, they are the real deal. We were beat by the real deal, so we can take a little bit of cold comfort in that. And also the Maple Leafs have their own problems now with firing GM, not having the GM in place, and also there's who's going to coach the team. So there's enough soap opera drama going on off ice that I think the focus has been removed from the players and the team themselves, at least for now.
Victoria, I am contractually obligated to ask you about Austin Matthews. We sit here probably a stone's throw from where he grew up as we do this show, but obviously, you know, we are partial to our guys from here, and you know, here he is playing in the biggest hockey market in the league, I would argue, and look, he struggled a bit through the postseason. Now he's got contract out there on the horizon. Tell us about our friend Austin Matthews, where you view him as we talk today.
Well, I'm glad that there's a fair bit of distance between us for this so that the fine hockey fans of Arizona don't start throwing things at me, but I don't think that he's going to be joining his hometown team any time soon. I really believe Austin Matthews likes being a big deal. And I think he likes being a big deal in a huge hockey market. I think he really enjoys it. As much as he can't stand the criticism and the negative scrutiny, which him and all the other big fish on this team are subjected to far too often in this market, I think he does like it in general. I think it suits his personality. So, I mean, there's that. Again, just the issues with the Arizona Coyotes. I mean, you guys have a lot of drama going on, man. Yeah. And even a couple more years, you know, at Mullet Arena, which I think is really neat with the 5,000. Like, it's a cool thing, but I think the future could be bright if they actually figure it out, but the Tempe deal falling through is really unfortunate. You got a lot of great draft picks, a lot of high ones coming up. You can rebuild this team, but it's going to take some time, and I don't think Austin Matthews has any interest in putting in that type of patience. I think he likes being here, and honestly, I think there's going to be a deal this summer, an extension, because you still have a year left, right? They can actually renegotiate with him starting July 1st. I don't think he's going to bang out the 7 or 8 year long deal that he can with his current team. I think he's going to look, because he's 25. I think he's going to look maybe 5 years and then still have the breathing space to sign that last big contract somewhere. And maybe that's when we're talking about him going back to the desert, if, fingers crossed, the Coyotes are still playing there, which I'm hoping for. I think the fans in Arizona deserve as much.
Victoria Matiash joins the show, ESPN.com writer, and underdogs are something special in sports. And we are a sports betting show here. And right before the playoffs started, the Florida Panthers plus 2,800 to win the Stanley Cup. Now they're plus 350. What's your thoughts on this Florida Panthers team, the run they've been on, and did you see this coming?
Okay, I'm going to say this. I'm going to toot my own horn for 1 minute, Jackson, okay? Back in January, it was just about New Year's, we actually posted, all of us at ESPN had to post one bold prediction. And my bold prediction at the time was the Florida Panthers would make the playoffs. Not necessarily advance past a round, but they would make the playoffs. And at that point of the season, they were well out of it. So I got absolutely ripped and shredded on social media for this. I was, basically nobody thought this was a terribly intelligent take. And apparently I was out of my mind. And lo and behold, coming down to the final game of the season, they're in the postseason. They're in the playoffs. I never, ever thought they had a snowball's chance in 11 of beating the Boston Bruins. So no, there's no way. Very few people thought that they were going to get on this run, but really, it did all come together. They had struggles throughout the season with the new personnel, Matthew Tkachuk, adjusting to his new team, everybody adjusting to a new coach in Paul Maurice, and everything just sort of got together with a very, very, very hot netminder. Like Shea Bobrovsky right now is playing historically amazingly. Like the numbers are, before we even started with analytics, he is laying new groundwork of, goals above expected, the saves above expected, I should say, and all the rest of it. So he's playing out of his mind. Everything is going at exactly the same time. And you guys know this. This is true in all sports. When it comes together, and the timing is everything. You need a little bit of luck. You need excellent timing. And I don't care if it's basketball, baseball, football, whatever you're playing, tennis. When you're all on, you're on. And these guys are on right now.
Hey, Victoria, it's the other Mike here. Appreciate you taking some time to jump on with me, the other Mike Jackson, to talk some puck here where we still, as you mentioned, still have a hockey team in our backyard. And when Grosser introduced you, he referred to Toronto as the capital of hockey. But, I mean, with Austin Matthews and now Matthew Tkachuk, Scottsdale's own Matthew Tkachuk, I think this is the real hometown of hockey. But all that silliness aside, let's take a look at the series that's still going on with a spot in the Cup on the line. Dallas at Vegas. That game tonight. Obviously, Jamie Benn out. Did the punishment fit the crime for the You don't see a guy getting cross-checked when he's laying down on the ice, but the punishment fit the crime. And what do you make of that game tonight?
I would have liked more than 2 games, to be honest, other Mike. I'm a big Jamie Benn fan. I've been a Jamie Benn fan since he's played in the league. I think he's one of the toughest forwards to play against, and I think that's generational. I've always admired the way he's played the game when he's not doing this type of nonsense, but that was dirty. It was dangerous. It was reckless. Mark Stone could have been really hurt as a result of that recklessness. And the fact that he only got 2 games, and I know it's a playoff, so they mean more, and maybe the Department of Player Safety just figured, well, they were going to get eliminated soon anyway. But in addition to the act itself, him as captain, as a veteran leader, not speaking out to reporters immediately after the game, that was another a black mark to me. And then the next day coming up with excuse, like I just had to land on my stick, and unfortunately it landed on Mark Stone's neck. Like the whole thing was just ridiculous. From beginning to end. Honest to goodness, I would have liked to see maybe a couple of games for the act itself, and maybe a couple of games tacked onto it for being such a moron about the whole thing. So anyway, I don't know how much it's going to matter. I know he is suffering. I mean, nobody on this planet wants the Dallas Stars to win tonight more than Jamie Benn. So he has the opportunity to come back and play it. And because this is it. This is the second of the 2 games. And come back and make amends in some fashion. So he's going to be holding his breath for a long time in Vegas this evening.
All right, we are sitting here in the Casino Arizona Sportsbook, so I'm going to ask you to play some handicapping here. One, we will do I believe we're contractually obligated, like Mike said, the radio thing and ask you for your pick tonight in the game, what you think happens, and then I'm going to follow up with another bookmaking challenge for you as well.
I think Vegas takes it. I think it's going to be a low-scoring affair. So you guys want to talk overs and unders? I think it's going to be relatively low-scoring. I think Vegas sums it up. I think they were a bit tight in Game 4. I think there's a little bit of extra pressure always on a team when they're on the cusp eliminating the opposition like they were. Sweeps are hard, man. Like, sweeping a team is difficult. I think it gets in your head a little bit, and Vegas was a little bit tight. Also, Dallas did everything they needed to do to draw themselves back into that series. Jake Ottinger played superbly well, and the top line with Robertson and, of course, Pavelski scoring in overtime. The stars on that Stars team came out and shined in that particular game, and everything sort of went the right way, and they still barely won. Vegas's defense is so formidable. They're so big. They're so tough. They play their position so well. They're so difficult to penetrate. As long as Aiden Hill is okay, as long as he doesn't suck, they're going to be just fine. I think Vegas is going to come away with this one, and I would say something like 3-1.
Oh, there you go. All right. Well, if you're listening, you want to get a pick in. That's a very well informed pick. So I'm going to ask you to play bookmaker here again. Our guy Jack does a great job here running things at the Casino Arizona Sportsbook. But Victoria, we're having this conversation. Let's fast forward 5 years from now. It is 2028. The Maple Leafs are coming off yet another heartbreaking loss in the playoffs. Sorry, was that a low blow, Grosser? Was that low blow?
She's a guest.
Ouch.
No, but really, 5 years from now, the Coyotes are playing where? What would be, if you were making the odds here, where would the Coyotes, the insert name here, Coyotes, be playing? And maybe that's a different name then anyway.
I would first say I would love to see them be playing in Quebec City. It's not going to happen. That is my own personal wish. Kansas City? Maybe? I'm not sure. Houston? I don't know. Houston or Kansas City. I'm gonna go between those two.
No, Arizona, not one of those options, unfortunately. She didn't even give Arizona
thought
there.
No. I thought you said if not Arizona.
Oh no. I'm giving you the odd. The board is wide open.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought you said if not Arizona.
No, I said 5 years from now we're talking about the Yotes and they're playing where? Sorry to complicate things.
That's all right. It's giving me a lot to think about.
That's a lot.
I would then I'm going to go qualify it again. I would like to see them play in Arizona. I don't like to see teams move.
There you go.
Unless it's really egregious. I would like to see them play in Arizona. Guys, I think they got one more shot. They got to figure out this arena thing really fast. And I mean like 6 months fast, like right now. And no more of these referendums. Just get the thing built. Let's move on. Let's get them out of Mullet Arena and let's get going. That's what I want to see happen. I don't think it does. I'm sorry, but that's what I would like to see happen.
Wrapping up with Victoria Matiash right now, and she's part of a podcast with Ryan Patton called Pucks in 7 podcast. You can find that wherever you get your podcasts. It's an excellent listen. Hey, Victoria, as we wrap up and take a 60,000 foot view. Look, I grew up right down the 401 across the Ambassador Bridge in Detroit, right? A traditional hockey town. And I know my buddies back there when they look at it and they see, Dallas and Las Vegas and Miami and North Carolina.
Yeah.
They're like, what the heck is going on to the sport that I grew up loving? They're wearing their original 6 T-shirts and getting all bent out of shape that the Red Wings, they missed the playoffs, missed the draft lottery. But is this good? Let me throw in the phrase of a question. Is this good for the game as you grow it, as you see it become a national sport, an international sport? They take the game to Europe. We talk about Kachucks and Matthews growing up in places like Phoenix because of Shane Doan or because their dad played for a team. You look at the growth of the game. I mean, what side of that argument do you come down on?
Oh, 100%. You have to if you want to grow the game. I mean, some of us like to be selfish. We are in like the larger hockey markets. I'm here in Toronto, and those in Detroit and Montreal and New York, Chicago, maybe even Vancouver fancies themselves. But if you actually truly want to grow the game, because we still lag behind the NBA, the NFL, MLB. We're not on the same level at all when it comes to money or fandom or any of it. If we want to get up there and play with the big kids, then you have to expand to what? I hate the expression, but it's the only one I can think of right now, non-traditional hockey markets, where ice does not exist naturally, right? Let's put it that way. And now you're getting this generation of players, like you guys just mentioned, the Kachucks and Austin Matthews, and these other younger players are going to come up, and they're going to now see, Kachuk, what he's doing in Florida. He's not only an American, but he's playing again on traditional market. I think it's fabulous. I don't need to see Chicago, New York, or what have you. I mean, those are some too, but expanding this thing. Look how much fun they're having in Vegas right now.
Yeah.
Place is a hoot. Nashville is a hoot. Go and see a game in Nashville. It is a ton of fun. And this is excellent for the NHL altogether. It's excellent for me and my livelihood. So I'm always going to promote expansion or growing game whatsoever. And I think it's more people that are interested, the more fun it is. And the parity in the NHL speaks to that now. And I think awesome.
Victoria, we have this conversation go on for 2 or 3 more segments, but thank you so much for joining us. It's wonderful to catch up with you again. We won't wait so long time.
Sounds great, guys. It was lovely talking. I really enjoyed it.
Victoria Matiash breaking down the NHL, doing a great job and behaved yourself pretty well.
She knew my name. That's crazy.
She saw your pick last weekend for the race in Pimlico, so she knew who the heck.
Love the Canadian accents. I think when she was on, but the sorry or the out.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Great, Victoria. We'll hear more to come on the other side. You're listening to Fox Sports. boost till you win a boost. And then thanks again to Victoria Matiash for joining us in the last segment. Always love talking hockey on the show. Jackson, we don't do it nearly enough.
I'm getting better.
I second that remark, by the way. That is true.
Hey, real quickly, guys.
Wait, actually, can I just interrupt you very rudely, which I've already done, and I'm going to just continue now. Now I'm out of control. Does Jackson yet have you learned yet what a GWG is yet? Do you know? Because
Look that up.
We did text earlier in the week about since you're a hockey expert now, Jackson, and you didn't know what a GWG is. That is a statistical category hockey.
Game-winning goal.
There you go.
All right.
He
Learn
shoots,
something
he
every
scores.
day.
Hey, real
Sorry,
quickly,
Gross.
before we get
Sorry.
to DeAndre Hopkins, college baseball, if you're so inclined, out at Ho-Com Stadium today. The WAC is into their final day of the tournament. They've got at least one game that starts at 3 o'clock. And surprisingly, Grand Canyon, not in it. They were eliminated last night. It's Utah Valley and Texas State playing. And if Texas State wins, they play a 7 o'clock game to decide the championship. And then over at Scottsdale Stadium, the Pac-12 tournament wraps up today. Kind of a surprise, I think, for people that follow the Pac-12. Oregon and Arizona play for the automatic bid in the NCAA tournament. I love the way the Pac-12 did it. They don't have that traditional bracket. They have a pool play, and they take 3 pools, and they take the pool winners, and then the highest remaining, whatever the tiebreak, probably run scored or win-loss ratio, something crazy like that. And 4 teams play last night. They played a semifinal and then a final today. You don't have that if necessary game, which you typically see when you have a regular bracket. So Arizona, Oregon playing for a spot in the NCAA tournament. Surprisingly, Arizona boat race Stanford last night, and a lot of people had Stanford predicted as a regional host.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that loss to Arizona is going to cost them a home game. You love to see the Pac-12 teams host the regionals. Yeah. And so many. I mean, you're going to see a preponderance of SEC teams hosting this weekend. So get a few of them out west, for goodness sakes. We'll see what happens. But Arizona, Oregon for that Pac-12 championship tonight from beautiful Scottsdale Stadium. If you were asleep yesterday or at your work at a day job like I was, and then all of a sudden your phone starts blowing up and Twitter is exploding, what happened? The Arizona Cardinals, maybe surprisingly, maybe not so surprisingly, released DeAndre Hopkins. He is on his own to make his best deal. Now, rewind the clock. Cardinals gave DeAndre Hopkins the option of getting a trade done before the draft. Make your best deal, DeAndre. Take you and your contract wherever you want to go. And clearly nothing was done. I think it was, as we said, Jackson, at the outset of the show, more of a reflection on what you're going to pay a 30-plus-year-old wide receiver who, let's be honest, hasn't been on the field. And, he still, I'm sure, has something to offer a contender. I doubt very seriously whether you're going to see him get a contract that says essentially $30 million over 2 years. That is not going to happen, but it'll be interesting to see where DeAndre Hopkins lands. And I know, Jackson, you've been all over the odds on this.
Attaboy.
Yeah, well, I wanted to say, too, the speculation reports out there is that D-Hop wants a 1-year contract. So I think now he's looking for a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
Prove it deal with someone else, but also, too, gross to put on top of that. The Cardinals have since January to get something done with DeAndre Hopkins. And I think the biggest thing about all of this is the timing of it, because I think they were close to getting something done, reportedly by Albert Breer, with either the Chiefs or the Bills that were in trade talks with Arizona. And then the OBJ deal happened with the Ravens, and that kind of threw everything off because OBJ got 1 year, $15 million guaranteed with the Ravens, and D-Hop's like, oh, hold on, I'm not going to take a downgrade. if this guy who hasn't played the whole year is getting $15 million.
But he was also out at the Preakness, and he did the the on your horses or whatever announcement there in Baltimore. So he was. I mean, maybe DeAndre Hopkins is jealous that he doesn't get to hang out at horse races.
That is true.
Yeah, that's probably it.
The odds right now for DeAndre Hopkins to see which team he will be at next, the odds-on favorite is tied with 2 teams. No surprise here. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills at plus 300, followed by the Jets plus 600, Ravens plus 700, Chargers plus 950, which I don't buy that because they just drafted a receiver. They don't need another D-Hop with them.
Well, but Keenan Allen probably is going to be injured as always.
True. Cowboys plus 1,000, Lions 1,200, Patriots 1,200, Eagles 1,500, rounding up the top 10, Jaguars plus 1,500.
Hey, guys, we went long with Victoria. Let's take a quick break and pick it up there because there's several teams on that list that make sense, and we should do a deep dive into that, right? Because, the numbers are fascinating, and the other is, how does the salary cap work? Kansas City's got $650,000 available right now. I know DeAndre Hopkins isn't going to get $30 million, but he ain't playing for $650 either. We'll talk about that more on the other side right here on Fox Sports 910.
Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona, exclusively on Fox Sports 910.
Are you in need or want a 75-inch smart TV? I
Yes.
mean, who doesn't? The Valley Chevy dealers want to give you a chance right now. Just text Chevy, CHEVY, to 59925. That's Chevy to 59925. You can enter once a day. Standard message and data rates apply. Additional details, just go to @rockandmanooch.com. Again, this is a chance to win a 75-inch smart TV. Just text Chevy to 59925. Best of luck. Bauer, you need a 75-inch TV?
Heck yeah, who
And it's
doesn't?
smart, too.
Contest ends
not,
this
so.
Wednesday at 4 p.m. So get those texts in right away. All right, DeAndre Hopkins, no longer an Arizona Cardinal. Jackson, run down that list again of places that we think he could land or make it an interesting destination for D-Hop, and then we'll break down a few of them.
Yeah, we're going to look at the top 7 teams right now. So the Chiefs, Bills are at the top at plus 300, followed by the Jets plus 600, Ravens plus 700, Chargers plus 950, Cowboys 1,000, Lions plus 1,200, as well as the Patriots at plus 1,200. Your guys' initial thoughts?
I think there's some fascinating teams on the list. And if I'm DeAndre Hopkins, you've got all kinds of individual accolades. You've got some tremendous career statistics. Something you don't have is team accomplishment. What have you done? What teams have you been on that you've seen? You qualified for the playoffs here, but you didn't play in the game.
Yeah, I would say the Texans when they made was it the AFC Championship or the divisional with Watson that one year?
So he has, relatively few, given what this guy has looked like on paper, when you look at the numbers. So if I'm DeAndre Hopkins, the first thing I'm doing is looking at that list and saying, where do I think I could have some postseason success? I've got the money. I've got the numbers. What do I got to do to get some postseason success? So that would be how I cut it. Chiefs, absolutely. Bills, absolutely. Chargers, absolutely. You mentioned the Lions. I think that one makes some sense, but that doesn't come without some interesting caveats. So there are some interesting destinations for DeAndre Hopkins if he can make it work financially with which one of those teams is.
You think Dan Campbell would let him sit out on Mondays or Tuesdays? Or
I honestly think if there is a more
Tuesdays,
opposite situation that he had than Arizona, and I'm not even talking about wins and losses. I'm just talking about the coaches and how the players are treated and that sort of thing. Can you imagine Dan Campbell watching DeAndre Hopkins on the sideline saying, "Yeah, I got a soft tissue problem. I'm not practicing today. I'm out. I'm out, coach."
You mean the biting kneecaps guy, Dan Campbell, that guy?
I'm out, coach. I'm not practicing today.
Yeah, how's that going to fly?
Yeah, that ain't flying. So yeah, DeAndre Hopkins and Dan Campbell is not a married made in heaven. But I think if DeAndre Hopkins, the player, the guy that you see between the white lines on Sunday, would absolutely help a team that is on an upward trajectory. Absolutely, he would help them. But
and they
I
are
don't know
the
if that
favorites
works.
to win their division. If you take a look at the now completely restructured due to the departure of Aaron Rodgers, who's a whole nother story now with his situation. But the NFC North is, and this is a very, very weird sentence to say, but the NFC North is definitely within grasp for the Detroit Lions, the favorite to win the division.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually the favorites to win the division. So if you look at the value there in terms of, hey, where's DeAndre Hopkins go? And a place that could use him, right? If you look at that depth chart, there aren't studs in the Lions. This is not the Herman Moore, Brett Perriman days of Detroit Lions wide receivers. Jackson, you're probably going to have to Google those guys. But this is not Megatron. He would be a great addition to, look, Amon-Ra St. Brown is a stud. Jamison Williams is a good young player. Josh Reynolds, Marvin Jones Jr. They've got some pieces there, but DeAndre Hopkins would be a great addition for them. And you mentioned those odds. Hey, if you're looking to put down a futures bet on a DeAndre Hopkins at plus 1,200 to the Lions. But I will say this: there was a report from Albert Breer, SI.com, does a great job covering the NFL. He says the only teams that had substantive discussions with the Cardinals about a trade before it all blew up, thanks to Odell Beckham Jr., essentially, were the Chiefs and the Bills. That's the reason why they're at the top of the odds, if you will, plus 300 for the Chiefs and the Bills. Those odds there's some info behind that, because those are the teams that were trying to make a move for DeAndre Hopkins before he was released.
And those teams would have the most work to do to figure out how to make it work financially.
Yeah, but you can do it. You got a cap there. They'll figure it out.
You absolutely
restructure this contract, release this guy, whatever.
Exactly. You absolutely could do it. On the other end of that list, though, you mentioned the Chargers, you mentioned the Lions, you mentioned the Patriots. The Lions have they just had it. The Lions have $23 million available.
Yeah.
You could bring him in tomorrow and not break a sweat.
Yep, exactly.
And here's the important thing when you look at the Bills and the Chiefs, not upset the chemistry that you've developed already, the team that you've got, right? Because both these teams, the Bills have less than $1.5 million available, the Chiefs closer to $600,000 available. You would have to make significant structures to your existing team, which is he worth it? And that's a decision somebody else is going to have to make.
We may get into this with Alex Clancy. He's going to join us here in about 20 minutes or so on the program to get into it. But there's a report from ProFootballTalk.com that and this is kind of a behind-the-scenes, super nerd level look at things. But DeAndre Hopkins is free to sign with anybody. They point out, they said, however, he has said that and he said this on Pat McAfee's show, that he's hired an agent. As of right now, the Players Association, their official paperwork, revealed that he is not represented by an agent. And according to sources, have you guys heard of St. Omni, by the way? Are you guys familiar with St. Omni?
Oh, yeah, he's
this guy that kind of works behind the scenes that is not an officially certified NFL agent that helped broker a monster deal for Roquan Smith, worked with Laramie Tunsil, and the NFL has said and warned teams not to deal with this St. Omni. Teams are trying to work out a deal with DeAndre Hopkins, and apparently a guy who the NFL has said, don't work with this guy.
All right, so let's go around. Let's see what team would you want D-Hop on?
No. Let's say what team will he sign with. We'll make a note of it, and then we'll laugh at the people who got it wrong.
Okay, I'm gonna go. Chiefs, just because I think they need some help at receiver right now. Their number one receiver is Marquez Valdez-Scantling, followed by Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney. They need some depth. I would like the Chiefs, as a football fan, to see D-Hop, to see Mahomes and Kelsey. Gross, your thoughts?
Ooh, man, can you imagine that?
That'd be dangerous.
When you heard D-Hop give that interview this week, he wants to play for a good quarterback. Check with the Chiefs, right? A good defense. Check with the Chiefs. A culture. Check with the Chiefs. So it fits all the bills, and I think it's a more player-friendly coach in Kansas City. But make mine the Bills.
Patriots. It's Belichick.
Can you imagine him and Belichick?
Yeah.
No, I can't imagine that one at all. Dan Campbell makes more sense. That's going to do it. Hour number one is in the books. We're going to step aside, take care of some top-of-the-hour business, regroup, and we'll come back. More Cardinals talk. We'll get into NBA and NHL postseason. All of that coming up on hour number two right here on Fox Sports 910.
Sports Gambling Radio Show. Take the points. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. Your home for uncensored sports betting opinions, analysis, and advice. The guys have you covered for all the games. Now, take the points on Fox Sports 910 and the iHeartRadio app.
Back hour number 2. Mike Bauer, Mike Gross, Jackson Groff taking you up to 1 o'clock this afternoon. We're at the Casino, Arizona, inside the beautiful CAZ Sportsbook, and we are watching games. Already had breakfast. Just a Jim Dandy day here at the Sportsbook. And in response to all the angry texts that I've been receiving during hour number 1, I forgot, and it's all on me, I forgot to give out Ryan's EPL pick of the week. And
I can't believe you.
We normally do it in the opening segment. Jackson and I went down some rabbit hole, and I just got sidetracked.
It's a tremendous disservice to our listeners.
And Ryan, who was on a tear, he hit again last week, and here we go. And I did not realize this, but this is the last week of the Premier League.
Damn.
Their season is over. So I don't know what we'll do starting next week.
Some team just won and made it up into the Premier League. That's a soccer thing that probably makes sense to some people.
All the
Luton,
all the games are in the Premier League are for tomorrow. All right,
Something
so he's
like
got
that.
3 things to take a look at for this game. This match tomorrow. First up, he's going with the best game of the week, which he says is Leeds United versus Tottenham. Both teams need a win. If Leeds doesn't win, they will be relegated to the second division. Tottenham need a win to qualify for the European League next season. Since it's the final day, he's got 3 bets for us. He's going to go Leeds to hang on and either win or get tie, so Leeds plus a half goal. Next, neither team can defend really, so it's going to go over 2.5 goals in this match tomorrow. And then finally, Harry Kane to score a goal. It could be his last game for Tottenham, and he is the all-time scorer in the club's history. So Harry Kane to score a goal. Those are your 3 picks from our national champion, Ryan Sirk. And again, my sincerest apologies for doing this an hour late. But our EPL Picks of the Week brought to you by Ryan Sirk. All right, guys, big game tonight in the National Basketball Association. And Jackson, you and I touched on this a little bit in the opening segment. I want to do a deeper dive into it. 5:30 p.m. on TNT. The Celtics and the Heat from South Florida. And according to the sheet that I picked up here at Casino, Arizona, when we walked in this morning, the Celtics are a 3-point favorite, and that the point total sits at 210 for the game tonight. Guys, you look at this one and look at how this series started and how it's going. All the pressure, 100% of the pressure squarely on the Miami Heat. Here's an 8 seed. Does the Magic finally run out on the Heat? I'm afraid if they lose this one tonight, this series is over. You don't even need to go back to Miami to close it out. So if the Heat are going to do it, it's got to be tonight. But I'm not all that confident in saying that. 3 doesn't feel like enough of a number for me to take the Miami Heat tonight over the Celtics.
So it actually just went down. It's at 2.5 right now.
There
so
you go.
We're down to 2.5.
Line's moving, baby. Let's go.
But if the Miami loses this game tonight, Game 7 in Boston, with the Boston crowd that's feeling more alive, every single game they win would be tough. But I think this is all going to fall on Jimmy Butler. 14 points last game, 5 of 10 shooting, played 34 minutes. I would expect him to play 42, 40, maybe even 48 minutes in tonight's game. Put it all on the line for his team. They lost 2 games in a row by 15 points, so they need some guys to step up. But if you're a Heat fan, you're grateful that a guy that's been contributing a lot those first 3 games, Gabe Vincent, will be playing tonight.
The Celtics actually 5-3 on the road this postseason, 5-5 at home. So the Celtics, they can get wins on the road. 5-3 on the road this postseason, just this year. Miami at home wasn't that great during the course of the season as well. I mean, this is interesting. We've seen this happen once in baseball. We've seen it happen, I believe, 4 times in the NHL. It has never happened in the NBA where a team came back from down 0-3 and got a win. And you're looking at a guy like Jimmy Buckets, who is now guaranteed it. He guaranteed that they're going to win, and absolutely right that the pressure's on them because all they need to do is just get a win, and they keep getting blindsided by the Celtics team that, to be quite honest, going in was the favorite, should be the favorite, was expected to win. They were expected to win this series handily the way that it looked like the Heat were going to do. And now you got Jimmy Buckets and the Heat backed into a corner almost.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And do you guys disagree? Like, you can't, if you're the Heat, it's win or you're done tonight.
No.
Going back to Boston,
I think 100%.
Going back to Boston, losing 3 in a row. I mean, I know you're going to play the game, but
I don't believe in that because of the kind of player that Jimmy Butler is, and he's obviously the leader of that team. And I've always been fascinated by guys that have, and I know Kobe coined this, the Mamba mentality.
Right.
But there's players out there that love to be adored by the home crowd, and that's what they'd thrive for.
Right.
That's what the top of their proverbial athletic mountain is. To me, I believe LeBron James would love nothing more than to be cheered on by the home crowd, whereas Michael Jordan or a Kobe Bryant, the Mamba mentality, they would love nothing more than to shut up the away crowd.
Yeah.
They would love, and Jimmy Butler has that. He's
that
got
80's been
he's got a little bit of an MFer in him, if you will, that Mamba mentality where even if they lose, now he's angry. He goes in as a one-man wrecking crew into Boston and is a man possessed. So I don't think the series is over. Look, this is a must-win mathematically for Boston.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a must-win proverbially, metaphorically for the Heat because I think Jimmy Butler could come in, flip the double birds to everybody in Boston and show up and show out, especially if they're playing that 7th game. It's probably because he didn't have a good game tonight.
Well, and the 80s mentality, right? You think about those old Celtics Pistons matchups where, they were a brawl, but it was, the old arena there in Boston, everybody on top of the floor, and the Bill Lambiers or the Dennis Rodman early years fit that mentality to a T. The other thing that I think, and we have Casey coming on in a little bit from the Sportsbook. The other reason that I'm not totally down, but I'm not feeling great about the Heat is Eric Spoelstra. I mean, if you look at the coaching matchup, you've got to give a nod to the Heat's head coach and Ryan, Casey, the hardcore Boston fan that he is. He adjustments. Can Eric Spoelstra will his team to win tonight?
Yeah, it's tough, and I think part of it too is the Celtics superstars are playing much better. I mean, Jason Tatum has been playing better in the fourth quarter. I mean, the first couple series or so, first couple games, you couldn't get anything going in the fourth quarter when it matters most. But I think for the Celtics, it's going to be who can step up because Malcolm Brogdon, the 6th man of the year, as we mentioned in the first
Future
hour,
son, right? Future son?
No. He has an injury in his elbow, and he broke the bone that connects the elbow to the forearm and of his shooting arm. And you can see the last couple games, his minutes have decreased, which have increased the minutes of Derek White or a Peyton Pritchard or some other guys like that. So they need some guys to step up in place of him. But I think the key guy, guys, is going to be Jaylen Brown. I mean, the last 2 games, he's had 17 and 20 points. I think they need him tonight to kind of, reduce the slack thereof of Jason Tatum.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, and you said Jackson just updated hot off the presses. That line now at Boston minus 2.5. The over-under sits at 210. And that's the other thing that's interesting about this. And we've had our guy Marco D'Angelo on so many, and he talks about these wager types, right? And you talk about complimentary wagers. If you think about how this game is going to play out, if Boston's going to win versus Miami's going to win, how do you look at that 210 total?
Yeah.
Right. Because I look at this and you talk about the superstars on Boston, and you've got the series numbers there, what the scores have been, Jackson. But, it feels to me like if you're Miami, you want to control this thing a little bit. And if it gets too far above 210, that's going to maybe not work out so well for the Heat.
Yeah, the first 3 games were over 210. The last 2 were under 210.
Oh, yeah, so that's what the hell I know.
Yeah,
you're doing some quick math right there. I like that. Way to go.
Yeah, very tough to do. But we also like player props here on the show. I want to give you guys his thoughts on some player props for the top superstars tonight. Jimmy Butler over under 28.5 points.
Oh, Jimmy Butler.
20 or 28?
28.5.
He better be over, but I think under. Under for me.
Bauer?
Oh, man, That's right about the number. All right, I'll go over just to be contrarian, but man, that is a good number.
And then Jason,
kudos to the odds makers.
Jason Tatum over under 30.5 points.
Over. Dead over, I think.
Big game out of JT.
Yeah,
huh?
I think so.
All right.
I think so. I think he's been getting a lot of crap for not showing up at the beginning of the series. I think he has a monster game tonight.
Jaylen Brown over under 22.5.
That's a good number, too.
Mike Roche, you mentioned complimentary bets. If I'm giving Jason Tatum all those points, there's not a lot to go around.
They got to go for some.
So Brown, I'll take the under on Brown because I'm going dead over. I got Tatum probably getting 40 tonight.
Complimentary, then if I say under, then he's got somebody else has got to pick up the slack. So let's go over there.
Let's look at some other ones. What should I get? Marcus Smart, last one, over under 13.5.
Oh, interesting, man. He's had such an up and down playoffs. I'll take the over because he can get it done. I think. Man, that's tough. Look, I'm not putting down any money on it. I'm just going to lean for the purpose of radio. I'm going to lean over, but I don't feel good about it.
Up and down series for him, and this is a down game under. All right, we got to step aside here, guys. On the other side, we do a deeper dive into this whole debacle. And look. I don't know who to blame. I don't know where we point the finger, but we'll figure that out. Alex Clancy joins us next. We'll talk about it on Fox Sports 910. Like goes Jackson Groff. And here's what we didn't expect to be talking about today: the Arizona Cardinals. But we're flexible. We can pivot, and we can head out to the guest line and say hello to our friend Alex Clancy, host of Locked On AZ Cardinals. Alex, how you doing today?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me back.
We're happy you were available. And, like I said, anybody Cardinals related, getting ready to shut it down for a long weekend. And Cardinals made a move, maybe not all that unexpected. The timing may be a little bit weird, but Alex, we'll just start it off with your initial reaction when the word hit you yesterday that the Arizona Cardinals released DeAndre Hopkins.
This sucks. I think it was what I initially thought. I mean, when you know that the writing was on the wall and we were weeks, if not months, away from getting any sort of trade value, trade capital back, it just was a slow burn to an inevitable sadness for a fan that I've been of DeAndre Hopkins since he was at Clemson, and just watching him walk out the door, probably to a contender where we're going to be rooting from him from afar, just going balling out as a wide receiver one. It's just a tough pill to swallow, but probably a necessary one at this point.
All right, let's be honest. Was your first thought really, I have to change my Twitter profile header picture? Was that it? Because you have a picture of him on the Hail Murray, getting that catch over Jordan Poyer.
I mean, the thing is, Bauer, I haven't even thought about that yet, so thank you. All you do, you produce my life. You're producing my life at this point. And, now I just have to rechange. I have to outsource that because my Canvas skills aren't great. So, yeah, that's just another thing to add to it. I appreciate that.
Well, I mean, on the bright side, you could probably just ask ChatGPT to do it for you, I think. You could just have some sort of internet robot AI thing do it. All the silliness aside about changing your profile picture, which you do probably need to do that as well, at Clancy's Corner and at Locked On AZ Cards. But is this a reflection of a failed experiment for the Arizona Cardinals that last year was going to be the bang-up duo of Hollywood Brown on one side and DeAndre Hopkins on the other? The Cardinals traded their first-round draft pick last year to try and make this happen, and it never did.
Yeah, I mean, that was my biggest fear going into last season, with Hop being on the shelf for 6 games for the PED suspension and Hollywood Brown coming in with his, college quarterback, Kyler Murray. My biggest fear going into it was Hollywood Brown and DeAndre Hopkins not playing meaningful snaps together. And lo and behold, just like tag team in the WWE, Hollywood Brown gets hurt, the DeAndre Hopkins comes back, and then it's all downhill from there. There's no proof of concept with these two on the field to validate retaining DeAndre Hopkins at the price tag that he's at, especially with Kyler Murray hurt. So it was definitely what could have been, and yeah, it was a failed experiment to say the least.
Hey Clancy, you referenced that suspension. You're plugged in with the Cardinals. You follow everything. Has DeAndre Hopkins, I remember something where he promised, he said, hey, I'm going to let y'all know what the heck went down at some point in time at the end of the season. Has that happened yet? Or did I miss that?
I don't know if I don't know if that ever happened. But with me, it's just I don't find any reason to believe that he took something on purpose. There's no reason to believe that. And this isn't like a blind thing. Like when Patrick Peterson got popped, I'm like, yeah, he probably did. You know, and DeAndre Hopkins, I just don't, because he's never relied on his speed. His skill set stayed the same. It's not like he lost a step like he's Tyreek Hill 5 years from now and needs to remain relevant. He's been the same dude. You know, just rudimentary style, catches everything, and always gets to his spots. So, no, but I never found out exactly what happened.
So, Alex, when you look at the receiver room right now for the Cardinals, Marquise Brown, Rondale Moore, Greg Dortch, Zach Pascal, and you got Michael Wilson. In your eyes, after this Hopkins trade happens, who do you think kind of benefits, maybe impacts in a positive way in this receiver group? And do you see the Cardinals maybe going out and getting another receiver here, or do you pretty much see this core right now set for this upcoming season?
The wide receiver that benefits the most from this is Marvin Harrison Jr. in 2024. But, you know, so for this year, like, I call the three guys, the three press lists, Hollywood Brown, Rondale Moore, and Greg Dortch, 0 to 60 and 2.6. If you can put them alongside, you know, I know Zach Pascal is bigger and Michael Wilson's bigger. Like, this wide receiver group is somebody's going to come out and be a star. Like, they're going to get time. Like, Greg Dortch, if you told me Greg Dortch had 8 touchdown catches and 800 yards and 90 receptions next year, would you be shocked with the performance that he's put on when he's gotten a chance? Probably not. Do you think Rondale Moore is going to play more than 6 games? Probably not. Do you think Hollywood Brown is going to have some drops and probably catch 5 or 7 touchdowns and have 700 or 800 yards? Probably. Like, I don't think that anything is going to be insane this year. If Rondale Moore stays healthy, he could definitely come out of the pack. But I think the big thing to understand here is they need to who they can trust this year to move forward with. Because Hollywood Brown, for those who don't know, shares an agent, A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, and Deebo Samuel, who played the extent of their rookie scale contract or getting a contract extension. So I'm sized at point that we haven't even heard rumbling Hollywood Brown's camp that he's going to want an extension starts. Like, doesn't ball out next, just going to let him walk. Like, I don't the thing a Steve Keim special. They could have had Tyler Linderberg, and they have Hollywood Brown here his rookie deal.
So now that D-Hop's gone, frees a little more money here. And the other big story in the camp, Budda Baker spoke out yesterday. Be there when it's time. Be there. What's next? What's next for Cardinals and Budda? What do you think they should do now? D-Hop's gone. One of their foundational parts, and Baker's still not happy. Your thoughts about the whole Budda Baker situation?
How can every Arizona Cardinal be like her if Budda Baker's not in Arizona on the Cardinals? But can somebody ask Monty Austin for that? Like, if my thoughts on Budda Baker is he's twatted. He's got 2 years left on his 100%. He's going to be 30 if they were to give him an extra 2 years on the bender, some more guaranteed money on the front end. Who's the important Arizona Cardinal right now? And with this fractured infrastructure and foundation that they're trying to build, not with super glue and band-aid like Steve Keim did, like pouring new bedrock on. I can't see this organization without Budda Baker if they want ability moving from step one. I don't understand why that people are fighting back against. He's been playing behind players the last 2 years who were C- level on the defense. They've had a bad cornerback. The linebacking core wasn't great last year. The pass rush was elite. Saved Cam Thomas and Myjai Sanders, towards the end of the season with a little in. Like, Budda Baker's been asked to do a million things. What if he could just play safety? How could he be then? I could talk about this forever. I think that him 2 months ago when he wanted it, and it's a no-brainer to me, at least.
Going back to the DeAndre Hopkins situation, and I think the other thing that, and I saw you tweeted this out shortly after the news broke yesterday, but this is like, people want to assign blame and point the finger, and I understand that. So if you're going to do it, this one goes back to the previous regime. This has to be a Steve Keim issue that we're cleaning up here as this new regime continues to do that dirty work right now. And it's painful and it's hard, but it happens. And I think the key here is looking forward. And it's the other thing that has to be realized this is a 2 to 3 year window. This is not, hey, what's it going to be like on September 1st, 2023, right? I mean, we got to continue to wash Steve Keim out of the system in order to get it right, in my opinion. I think you agree with that.
Yeah, I've said this analogy a lot on the podcast and elsewhere. Steve Keim was your friend growing up who would come over and play with your toys and then leave without helping clean up. That's what he did for the Arizona Cardinals, and now they're picking up the pieces themselves. Yeah, so because I had a friend that did that, and I'm still upset about it. So like when toys. I feel like Mike Bauer did that. I don't know. I mean, we got to investigate that a little bit further. But yeah, like there are uncomfortable things that have needed to happen. Probably letting back Allen walk was uncomfortable. Okay, Byron Murphy, not so much. Necessary evils that have the fan base, scratching their heads. But if you want to know what a rock bottom hard reset looks like, it's this. Mm-hmm. So I know that's counterintuitive to what I said about Brew Baker before, but I think DeAndre Hopkins walking is really making this real, that this is going to be a tough year, and then the Cardinals can go from outhouse to penthouse pretty quickly if they can nail a draft, get future draft capital for what they get if they have 2 top 5 picks, decide what they want to do with Kyler Murray, which isn't a conversation we're ready to have yet. Like, this is going to be a fun year. Think of this year as Dan Campbell in Detroit. This is a culture-shifting year. It's an infrastructure-shifting year. It shouldn't be about win-loss, and the Cardinals probably will win far less games than they lose.
Hey, Alex, we got about a minute left, but not to exercise the option on Isaiah Simmons. Where does that fit in this equation, and did you agree or disagree with that?
Isaiah Simmons is tough, man. Isaiah Simmons, I know Isaiah Simmons will go somewhere else and be a Pro Bowler. Mm-hmm. Like, these are the feelings that we have. Look at him. I don't need a minute. Look at Isaiah Simmons. If he's coached properly, he will be a Pro Bowler. He's smart. He's fast. He's terrible in coverage, yet they still put him in coverage. He's too big to be a safety, yet they still put him in safety. Like, I don't know why they don't move him outside and just try it. See quarterback, hit quarterback. I know he's a little bit undersized for it, but they need to figure it out soon. Otherwise, they're going to watch him walk to New England or Baltimore or Pittsburgh or Philly and be an absolute baller, and that just can't be a Son Reddick 2.0.
Alex Clancy, follow him on Twitter at Clancy's Corner, the podcast Locked On AZ Cards. Hey, thanks for joining us on short notice. We appreciate it. We'll do it again soon.
Thanks, guys.
Alex Clancy breaking it down. Whew. I mean, good insight, but not great news if you're a Cardinals fan, right? I mean, Alex is spot on. What I'm saying is not anything at all about him or his analysis, but I think the reality is starting to be real, kids.
So oftentimes you see this, whether it be in a collegiate situation, yep, a new athletic director or a coach, especially in the pros, you have a new general manager, a new coach, and a lot of times you have that where they do it just to prove that there's a new sheriff in town, where you have a front office member, a general manager, or a coach where they make moves, yep, so that they can put their foot down and go, this is my time. And they're doing that not because there's a mess that needs to be cleaned up, but because out of hubris, they have to prove that this is now their chapter in the book. That is not the case here. Monty Ossenford is coming in and reinventing wheel because you know what? This wheel was broken with the Arizona Cardinals.
Coming up after the break, we're going to visit with Casey from the Sportsbook here at Casino Arizona. That's coming up next on Fox Sports 910.
Tad.
Thanks again to Alex Clancy. Appreciate his insight. And Jackson, we're going to be debriefing and digesting and then all the other things you can do with this mess over there at Cardinals headquarters in the coming weeks as we get ready for the start of the season. Not that far away, fortunately, not necessarily for Cardinals, but just football in general. But as we try to do every Saturday, we've got Casey from the Sportsbook here at Casino Arizona sliding in, and we're going to give you a chance right now, Casey, to walk back all your negativity, all the bad things you said about the coach, all your anti-Celtics
Jason
comments.
Tatum comments.
Yeah, you are a Boston native, but we talked afterwards. We're like, wow, he's really down on the Celtics for a Boston, because Boston people usually aren't like that. But you went all in on the Celtics, and here they heard you, and now they've made a series out of it.
Hey, that's a good thing. The Heat tonight, they better win or they're not winning Game 7. The coach, still terrible. We still got to admit the coach is terrible.
Right.
And then, I mean, the last game you had the bench players. They all played great. You had Derek White putting up a bunch of points. Everybody was there. Yeah, I mean, they looked good. They played defense. I think the changing in the series, honestly, when the Celtics were down 61-58 in the third quarter of Game 4, when Brown was getting trapped by Love and Butler, Mazzulla finally called the timeout. They drew up a play, hit the three, 61-61. Then they went on the run.
So what's the action been like in the sports book? After the Heat were up 3-0, and then the Celtics won Game 1, and ever since they won the last two games, I'm looking at the odds right now. The Heat are minus 135 to win the series, and after Game 3, they were minus 900. So I just wanted to hear from you. Was there any action on the Celtics after the 3-0 lead from the Heat?
Like as in futures?
Yeah.
No, we haven't seen anything on that. It's pretty much honestly been all Heat. We did get a lot of Celtics action the other day, but even when they were down 3-0, the Celtics were plus 1460 to win the championship. Now they're down to plus 350.
Casey from the Sportsbook here at Casino Arizona inside the CAZ Sportsbook, where we hang out every Saturday. And, you're looking ahead, and it's kind of weird. Obviously, as a Celtics fan, you hope it doesn't end tonight. But whatever the outcome is, the Denver Nuggets have been sitting around and waiting and wait. This thing, the finals won't start until June 1st, regardless of what happens with this Celtics Heat series. That's a long time for a team to sit around and wait. And on the one hand, you're like, hey, it's a long season and it's a grind, and I get it. But still feels like a long time for a team to wait. Does that change the way you view a potential matchup in the finals, regardless whether it's the Heat or the Celtics, that amount of time off on a team?
Yeah, for sure. I think that bookmakers will reflect that. They'll figure the Nuggets will come out a little flat to start. So I think that'll definitely be reflective in the line, even though the Celtics Heat, regardless, if say the series ends tonight, they still have, 4 days to get ready for Game 1. So
yeah, it's made quick work of the Lakers, and they've been sitting around for a while. Real quickly, before we get your picks, like we do every Saturday, we put you on the spot. We know what the games are. You don't know. We just hit you rapid fire, but you're the professional here. Look, we've got lots of baseball going on. We got the TVs fired up. Lots of great baseball games going on here at the Sportsbook right now. You've got the NBA tonight. You've got the NHL tonight. But always out there in the future. Always wait there. And I saw on the sheets that you guys have right next to your counter there, futures. You got the futures ready for college football. You got the futures ready for the NFL. It's really, I hate to say it, no disrespect to these other sports. Football is it, isn't it, when you think about what you do day in and day out here at the Sportsbook?
Oh, yeah, football by far is king. No matter what time of the season is, we always have people coming in right now. They all want the division winners. They want season win totals, all that stuff. Yeah, football by far is the king of all the sports betting.
Well, how long do you wait? Like, I've always made I'm of the opinion, like, you don't want to jump on things too early. Rosters are still settling. Maybe somebody gets hurt, maybe whatever, maybe random retirements. We've seen that happen. So you don't want to go too early, but you also don't want to wait too long either, because then the numbers settle in and you can't get a good one sometimes. What's the optimal time, you think, to maybe settle in? And if I really think the Lions are going to win the NFC North, what's the optimal time to get a good number?
On the Lions?
Just in general, but say, for example, the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, I mean, the Lions, just because of all the momentum they had last year, right away everybody started betting. We got tons on the Lions for the NFC North as well as the Super Bowl.
Wow.
I would normally say, like, right around draft time, if you want to get the best odds. Like, for instance, everybody knew that Rodgers was going to the Jets. So they kind of left the odds there. So if you really thought that, you should have bet the Jets as soon as you knew that, you wouldn't want to wait until after.
Cool.
Fair enough. Let's get into your picks. Casey, you went 2-2 last week, 5-2 overall. We're going to go NBA first. Celtics are -2.5 favorite against the Heat. The over-under total at 210.5. What do you feel on this one, Casey?
I'm not going to go the side on this game. Obviously, I want the Celtics to win. We'll go under the total, the 210.5.
Under. All right. And then we got hockey, Stars at Golden Knights. Golden Knights -1.5 here. Over-under total at 5.5.
I think tonight the Knights are going to close it out. I think it'll be a lower scoring game, tighten up the shift. So I'm going to go Knights taking it at home.
You think they'll cover too? 1.5?
I stay away from the puck line.
Okay. We'll just go straight Knights money line here. And then the Red Sox -1.5 against the D-backs. Over-under totals at 9. What do you like in this matchup?
We'll go with the over tonight in that game.
Over. There you go. So Casey under, Knights, and over for tonight games.
Hey, Casey, real quickly, as let you go, hours of operation, and tell everybody about how they can take advantage of what you're doing. Plus, if you guys aren't here, you got the self-service kiosk 24/7.
Yeah, so anybody wants to come on down, we're open every day from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. If you want to deal with it in person, have any questions, really friendly, can help you guys out that way. But just like Mike said, if you don't want to deal with a person, we have the self-service kiosks that are open 24/7.
And when you have a winning ticket, which I have had occasionally, can take it up to you guys at the window or any of the windows around in the general casino as well. Is that right?
Yeah, so for the hours that we're open, 8 to 11, it's always at our window.
Okay.
Any of the hours that we're closed, so 11 to 8 a.m.,
Perfect.
You can go to the main cage and cash them out there.
Good stuff. Casey, always great to catch up with you. We'll be rooting for your Celtics tonight for you, and we'll hopefully catch up with you again next Saturday.
Sounds great.
Casey from the Sportsbook here at Casino Arizona, always really
Fox Sports 910.
Final segment of the show. Thanks for hanging out with us on a Saturday. Mike Bauer, Mike Gross, and Jackson Groff covered a lot of territory today, guys. But it's that time of the day where I try to do better than I did last week.
Yeah, you went 1-3 last week, Gross, and myself and Bauer went 3-1. We're kind of catching up on your ass, so
Kinda, and that's why we won't add a fourth event this week. I didn't like that fourth event. That kind of threw me. So giving you guys extra chances is not something I'm going to do anymore. So it's three games per week is all we're doing.
yeah, me being the horse betting extra myself, obviously
Oh,
2 for 2. If you want to, mark on your calendar, folks, June 10th, Belmont Stakes. Come back here, take the points. If you're ready to hear my pick, go 3 for 3. Have my own Triple Crown there, Gross.
How about it? How about Nicolas Cage helping you get that win last week?
And Marco D'Angelo, most importantly.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's jump into it. What we got this week, Jackson?
All right, first one, we're going to the hardwood. The Celtics -2.5 at the Miami Heat. The over-under total is at 210.5. And for me, I'm going to go the Heat. I think they close it out. I think Jimmy Butler, he loves the pressure, like Bauer mentioned before. Back against the wall, lose 2 games in a row. Everyone's counting you out once again because they think the Celtics are going to win. Give me the Miami Heat. Bauer?
The Miami Heat in a must-win only proverbially. This is not a must-win for them literally. But either way, there's going to be a lot of points on the board in this one. 210.5. Give me the over in this one. I think that this ends up going to Game 7. This goes back to Boston. But, give me the over in that one.
It might not be literally must win, but it is must win for the Miami Heat. Look, I just you look at what's happened here over the last couple games, double digits. Well, I honestly don't see a way. I give it 2.5 is not too big a number. Give me the Celtics. They win in South Beach tonight.
Before we move on to our next pick, did you guys see Shaquille O'Neal was served papers at the formerly known as the FTX Arena in this whole financial scheme thing, that he was actually served papers in a legal battle over his involvement in that cryptocurrency exchange FTX while he was broadcasting at the arena that used to be sponsored by FTX as well.
Get in line, man. They're suing anybody and everybody associated with FTX.
Tom Brady, Larry David, for goodness sakes.
Everybody.
All these people with this FTX, that Samuel Bankman-Fried. Now it's called the CAZ Center. But for a while there, it was the FTX Center.
And they gave away crypto as an opening game giveaway.
And Shaq was actually he was served papers in a legal situation.
That's why that show is so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Well, the next pick, we're taking our talents from Miami in the hardwood. We're flying all the way to Vegas in the ice. The Stars at Golden Knights. The Golden Knights money line -145. The puck line is also 1.5. But we won't do the puck line here on this show. The over-under total is at 5.5. Look, I think the Knights close them out. You could see in the last game, they went out to a hot start. I believe they were up 3 or 4-0, and the Stars could not catch up. Give me the Knights. Bauer?
Hey, look, the Knights at home, that is an absolute show in terms of the arena there. I think the Knights, look, you're sitting there, the Florida Panthers, they're just chilling. They're just getting better. They're just getting some rest. They're hanging out in the hot tub, in the cold tub. Look, the Golden Knights need to get this win so they can get the Stanley Cup final started sooner rather than later and start getting after the Florida Panthers. I think the Golden Knights seal this up at home. I think it's easy. I think it's probably 4-1, 4-2 is your final score in this one. But give me Mark Stone and the Golden Knights.
I like the Knights as well, but my play here tonight is under. And Victoria mentioned Victoria Matiash when she was on with us in our opening hour. She mentioned it as well. This feels to me, as these series go on, teams get more familiar, get a little more physical. So it feels like under 5.5 is something I'd be comfortable with. Aiden Hill, former Coyote, playing really, really well. Really great goaltending for the most part throughout the latter part of the postseason. And even if it goes to overtime, which we've seen an awful lot of here, I'm still comfortable with that under 5.5 number. But again, if I had to pick a team, it'd be the Knights. So if you want, again, using Marco's term, that complimentary bet, give me the Knights and under tonight from Las Vegas, from the T-Mobile arena up there. And how cool is that? Sunbelt hockey, non-traditional markets, whatever you want to call it. You're going to have either Dallas and Miami or Las Vegas and Miami
Florida.
well, the cities represented
Gotcha.
in your NHL Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah, you talk about two stories too. I mean, if it's the Florida Panthers and Vegas, the fact that one of those teams can win their first title, and on top of that, how about the turnaround in Vegas? The fact that they're going to make it to their second Stanley Cup, and they've been around since, what was it, 2017, 2018 when they expanded. It's unbelievable. I don't know why are they having so much success, Gross?
Because the expansion draft was. Oh, you asked him. I was going to say the expansion
Bauer,
draft was stacked. You know.
No, he's exactly right. It was tilted very heavily in favor. You look at both Seattle and Las Vegas.
The rest of teams in the NHL got smarter about protecting the right guys with the Kraken expansion draft, though.
True.
And the Knights really exploited that opportunity.
True.
You know, with Fleury right off the bat, with that run at the Cup.
No, you're absolutely right. But even, you know, the Kraken weren't left, like buried, like with
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
it
so
wasn't
the
NHL.
NHL, and here's the thing, and I know we got one more game to pick, but I'm gonna you patted your self for the last weekend the race. I'm gonna do it the same thing because I said on this show this week where you hear this so much move the Coyotes there or whatever, right? So many reasons why that is such a flawed argument, and I'm defending anything that's happened in this market. But Larry Brooks, national writer, I think he's in the newspaper, said the same thing this week in an article that got picked up nationally that I did. Look at Seattle. Look at Las Vegas. The NHL cashed $0.1 billion worth of fees when those two teams were brought into the league. If you want a team, if you want a team Kansas City, I agree with Victoria. It's never going to happen.
No, that'd be great.
Charge them the expansion fee. It's the relocation fee is. Plus, you don't lose to the number 5 TV market. Plus Alex Murillo wagering license. He can open up wherever he builds his license.
A brick and mortar sports.
It cuts the value of the franchise because it goes only as far state line. So back to answer your question a long way. The NHL loves relocation expansion money more than relocation money, and they owners up for early success because of the big checks that they cashed at their expense.
Quickly, Reds favored by 1.5 tonight at the D-bag, under total at 9. And give me the Reds. Bauer. I feel like I know where you're going to go on this.
Well, Mike Gross, I'm you so proud right now.
Do it.
Are you ready for this? I'm going to go with high school from Gilbert, Arizona's own Zach Davies on the bump, coming back from the IL. It's a bleak injury. He's back, and of course, Jackson, as you predicted, I'm going to go with the D-backs. But I got to make you proud because that high school reference to Arizona high school sport. Yeah.
No, I love it. Anytime you can do that, you can do that, and it also makes me want to switch my pick. Almost, I won't make it the Red Sox. Get the Red Sox. It's nice to see, though. This is why Ken Kendrick favor of this full round robin of team. There's finally a nice stadium last night. I mean, a lot of Red Sox fans, but hey, money's green too. I love the baseball's doing, and we were a little hard the pitch clock and all this different stuff. Both the games that were on when we started our show, the Yankees and the Padres, the Tigers, and those games are over, and they started when we started our radio show, or right before our radio show. So maybe it's worth a little bit. The round robins, the things. That's going to do it for this week's show. Thanks to our guests, Algae, Power, we'll get you back in the studio. We'll see you right here on Fox Sports 910.
Go Ducks.
Thanks for listening.